Asante, do you feel all is ready?
Yeah, good morning to you, Samson, and to the panelists, and to all Ghanaians. First of all, I am asked to remind you that it appears you are celebrating International Men's Day today with your panel. So you have to find a way to celebrate an International Women's Day before the election so that you can cancel.
I've noted that. My producers have noted that. We have taken a lot of bashing on social media for an all-male panel when the men involved are almost a dozen men, and there's not a single woman. We appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. So, as Sam said, I think let me start my contribution by saying that we have come a long way since the biometric voter registration. I would even say since last year. We were worried about the absence of the NDC at IPAC for right after 2020 elections. And the MPC and many stakeholders worked very hard to get the NDC back at IPAC. And I think Dr. Bosman himself can confirm that with the return of the NDC, a number of consensus building decisions also were taken very quickly, helped us to get into the biometric voter registration process. We had difficulties, but again, with IPAC working together, we were able to overcome all of that. The other thing I have to also commend is that in the last couple of months, at least, we've seen the Election Security Task Force also spring into action in a much more proactive way to engage all stakeholders, to give the necessary assurances, to give some more detail as to its setup for election day. And I think that has helped to improve some of the issues that we were sort of drawing attention to. But for me, I think I want to take it from your editorial today and the issue of accountability, because I think we can only continue to preserve peace and promote peace if people are held accountable for violations of the law. But it appears that when it comes to the security sector, we have a hesitancy to hold people accountable. And I think in a command and control structure, if accountability doesn't exist, that presents a huge problem for how you impose discipline. The state officers, security officers who conducted themselves during the elections, where the courts have found that they illegally basically caused fatalities and injuries, if there's no accountability held, it means we are sending a message that the security sector is above the law. You cannot build any society that way. And I think that this is one of the biggest challenges going forward, because governments, from all governments that we've known, always have this hesitancy to ensure that accountability applies to all. It is in that context that, for me, the security issue, there are still some problems that we have to address so that we don't have the problems we had in 2020. First of all, is really, for me, the participation of the army. We've had cause to raise issues as to exactly what is the role that the army is going to play. And we've gotten different answers, some not with any clear sense of how they are going to operate. We know they are not going to be in polling stations, but we know in the past they have been in collation centers. Are they going to be there again? And what is going to be their role? We understand from the Election Security Task Force that they are sort of the 4th year's last resort. Fine, but it is important that the public understands what the security arrangement is going to be, at polling station, at collation center, so that when they see something they are very much sort of, it affirms their expectations. All the times I've been, doing elections and doing that for 20 years. The issue for me is never the miscreants or the groups of people who might disrupt election. It's whether or not a large part of the public might go out or get agitated because they think that something unfair is happening. And the only way you cure that is to give clear information as to what the do's and don'ts are going to be at the election, what the ordinary voter should expect, so that if something is happening, they can make a discerning decision that this is above board and there's nothing going on. That is where the security problems can come in. As for one or two people, a group of people, the security is well, set up to deal with that. So that's never a problem. So we've always insisted that the issue really is about clear information around security. That's so if the army is going to be involved, how exactly are they going to be involved so that when people are there, they know exactly how to behave. The second issue with the army is that we know the army standard operating procedure is one of coming to neutralize. And that's a basically shoot and kill, order. We've had fatalities like that in 2020. Are we going to use that same SOPs for crowd control if they are going to be at the collation center? We need clarification on these things so that under the unified command of the National Election Security Task Force, what are the clear instructions so that we can minimize fatalities? There are three other points I want to make, which I think should help us, even in this very small window, to help minimize any issues of conflict and violence that may arise. One, we have had a lot of discussion with the Electoral Commission about the setup of the collation center, and I think they have done a lot of work trying to make sure the collation centers are spacious, they're properly organized. The IGP has made elaborate statements about how they are going to organize the place. For me, the key thing is that it's very important how the public who are outside or close by or whatever are able to see or know what is going on in the collation center so that they don't have to rely on third parties for information. It is part of those rumor mongerings that gets people agitated and all of that. And it's part of the setup. How that setup is done, I think will be very, very helpful. And the more understanding and clarity we get on that, that's fine. Two other points. Correction of errors on the result sheet. This is something we have worked on as part of the election reform and monitoring group. And we've had extensive discussion with the Electoral Commission. The Electoral Commission has now clarified very clearly that at the polling station, if there are any mistakes, there will be a counsel using a blue pen and signing against it. If it is happening at the collation center, it will be a red pen signing against it. At the regional, it will be a red pen. What we have said is that is all fine, and at least now we have a standard. We need to publicize that standard for all party agents, for all observers, for all media to understand that this is the way to correct a mistake on the result sheet, so that is standardized across all constituencies, a regional collation, a national collation, whatever.
From where you sit at the CDD, sorry for cutting, from where you sit at the CDD, is the EC ready? Is the election security ready?
Yeah, so let me finish this point. Let me finish the point I'm making, Samson, and I'll answer that question. So the Electoral Commission made a commitment to publish an aid memoir on the correction of mistakes so that everybody knows what is going to happen. And I hope that we can still see that aid memoir. The last thing is on the petition of parliamentary elections. We know that the rules of court is not going to be able to publish new guidelines. But what we are hoping is that between now and even the election is just a few days, we can at least get some practice gyrations to try and minimize the long, 2 years and so on petitions that goes on, so that we can have a reduced time. So for me, I think these things are very, very important. Now, your question about
what did you mean?
I would say,
sorry, you said the long 2 years petition. What do you mean?
I mean the parliamentary petitions that happen.
But you have made submissions to the Chief Justice, and the Chief Justice has been positive that new rules are coming that will look like the presidential election rules as well. Now, by the presidential election rules, 42 days, the election petition is over. So we expect that parliamentary elections will be done within less, right?
Yeah, the only problem is that there's few days into the election, and I don't think the rules of court, can succeed in providing new rules. But at least practice direction is still within.
Well, the rules of court committee, they are not affected by the election, so they can do their work.
All right. Let's hope so.
Okay,
let's hope so. So that the point about whether they are ready. I would say, giving all the in terms of moving logistics, the regions and so on. I think, by basically from all I hear, by the weekend, most of those logistics should be there.
Okay.
So apart from that, that means that really all the other issues that, there's no anticipated problems that we, but elections, there are always issues that come up. Question is how quickly you are able to resolve them so that you can. So
in a minute to that question, from where you sit as a CDD, an important, CEO like that, CSO like that, is the EC ready? Is the election task force ready?
I would say 90%. The task force, I would say 80%, because as I said, the issue about the role of the army for me is there's still some clarity there that we need to understand.
All right. Thank you very much.